Forward. Hi, Anna. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Anna, my phone has been blowing up. Okay. What a week. What a week. First of all, I don't want to assume that you have anything in particular to talk to us about, but I do want to pin you to the front here. And first of all, welcome you and thank you for being here with us. We can't, honestly, can I just say this? Honestly, we can't get enough of you. Okay. You have enough to say every day, and your articles are so great. And this whole Uriah thing, I'm like, amazing. And Bathsheba and blah, 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 blah. But what do you have for us tonight, Anna? And then I'll go to what my phone's blowing up. I can't keep up. And for those of you that are still waiting, I apologize. Maybe we'll get some of your answers answered here tonight. Hopefully we will. And if not, we'll get them on the back end through emails. But Anna, what's happening?
Well, let's see. Apparently, I was not able to be here on Monday for the webinar. And so we had Hunter and we had some miscommunication here. I think it's just a matter of people having different expectations. GFG was showing up to answer the big picture issues of, how does the system, how is it laid out? How is it different? Why is GFG unlike the other banks? And essentially, they only talked about half of the system. So everybody has the idea that their money is going to be trapped in this other system, and they won't be able to exchange with anybody else, and it'll be just a closed thing that is operating off in the corner here, and you won't be able to use it to pay bills or all that. That's wrong. Okay. If you're looking at a bicycle, is it possible to ride a bicycle using only one pedal? Yes, I've done it.
It's difficult, but
Does,
we
does it work well? No. In order to have the real capability of the bicycle, you have to have two pedals, right? So you also have to have two pedals on a banking system. You have to have credit and you have to have asset-backed money. Both. Boom, 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 right? This is what keeps the whole thing moving slowly but surely uphill, right? So on Monday, they gave you kind of an overview of what we call System 2. You can call it Pedal 2, okay? They gave you this big
good.
overview of the system as a separate system, okay? It is a separate system. It's a land-based system. And all of the monetary assets, the physical assets, gold, silver, land, those things that are physical in nature go on the land side, okay? All the other stuff, the fiat currencies, the credit notes, the promissory notes, the stocks, the bonds, the debentures, all those things go on the credit side, the credit pedal. Well, you were all expecting to hear about the credit pedal because that's what you're most familiar with. You're thinking about, how am I going to pay my bills? How am I going to be able to buy, vanilla from Mexico, right? So you have two groups with two different expectations. GFG is showing up to show you the big picture and to describe why it's so important that we have the land jurisdiction step 2 or side 2, the second pedal in place now. And you're expecting all sorts of explanations about how you're going to navigate doing exchanges of different currencies that are fiat in nature that you're used to. Okay. Differing goals, differing expectations of what the conversation was going to be about. But yes, of course, you guys, you're going to have money. You're going to be able to either use money or credit to settle debts and bills and to buy things. The big expansion of your brain pan here is that money and credit are two separate systems. And you heard about the money system. Now you get to hear about the credit system. And so there'll have to be another meeting with GFG when we discuss the credit system that you were all expecting last week, but which didn't work out quite that way.
Well, and Anna, this is a really important point because I've received several communications from people saying, I'm ready to become the priority creditor. Okay, so can you help to educate us on this distinction between the credit side as opposed to this language called priority creditor?
Well, all a priority creditor means is that you're the one that's owed first. You're first in line to be paid when there's something like a bankruptcy involved.
Mhm.
Okay, you're the priority preferential creditor is what the verbiage is. But folks, you're already the priority preferential creditors because I made you all priority preferential creditors. You know, the moment I stepped down on the playing field and said, hey, I'm a priority preferential creditor, and so are all these other Americans back here, you all became priority preferential creditors, recognizable before any kind of tribunal or banking authority or anything like that. So you don't have to worry about, you know, pounding your breast and saying, I am a priority. That's already long gone and done. No, where we're at right now is that there are several different groups that are still trying to latch on to and keep control of and charge usury to us for the use of our own assets, and that are still trying to justify um,
Hold on.
having having claims to different parts of what is essentially our inheritance. And the way you need to think about this, and the way everybody else worldwide needs to think about it, is that this is an inheritance issue. Okay? They did their whole thing with the wars and the scores and the contracts and the la-di-das. At the end of the day, this is an inheritance issue. Americans inherit everything in America. Africans inherit everything in Africa. Arabians inherit everything in Arabia. You know, it's really pretty simple, and you have to wrap your mind around it. But both public and private assets of each country are the property of the people who live there. Okay? So, you know, here we are, Americans, we are owed both the public and private property assets of our country in some total en masse, okay? So we each have an interest in the public property, which includes things like public infrastructure, roads, schools, you know, public utilities of all kinds, and public lands that haven't been sold off and apportioned to anybody else, right? We all have an interest in that. That's a public asset interest. And we also have our private asset interests, which basically includes everything that we are and everything that we have, including our names, our identities, our patents, our copyrights, our signatures, our artworks, our performances, all of that, our labor, everything belongs to us. But by using trusts in an evil way, corporations have claimed to represent us. have claimed to be our trustees without our knowledge and participation and agreement to any of that. And they have not performed the duties of a trustee in good faith and honor. And that's how we wound up in the situation that we are now, where it's a matter of reclaiming all of our stuff and getting it back under our control and getting these corporations stood down and doing what they should be doing according to their contracts. Is everybody with me so far?
Yes, definitely. And
Okay, so you may have seen that we're talking to U.S. Private Capital Bank. Well, U.S. Private Capital Bank knows darn well that a lot of the assets that they have, in their column belong to the American people, not to them. And so they would like to do a deal in which we get control of our assets that they've been holding. But there's been some attempts to play around and do a project mentality rollout where essentially it's an attempt by some people, and this is not the only one. There are many different organizations that are similar, where what they want to do is charge you usury on the use of your own assets, which has been kind of their stock and trade all along. That's what the Federal Reserve was doing. They were charging you interest on the use of your own assets. And so these other yahoos are coming along, and one way or another, they've gotten a control of some part of this. And even though they know it's not their money, and even though they know it's not their assets, they still want to charge you usury on the use of your stuff. And I'm sitting there saying, no, not going to work that way. And so we've got, all these different parties out there. We've got all sorts of different trust funds and subsidiaries and banks and people, central banks that had money that was in their possession that wasn't theirs, that they have tried to commandeer and make use of. We're having to go back through all of that. We have the court orders. We have the stuff that we need to bring an end to all this, but it's a process of communication first and foremost, because not all these people are crooks. Some of them have just kind of landed there in the position of what I call the innocent third party. You're walking down the street one day, somebody taps you on the shoulder and says, could you act as receiver for all these funds that belong to the American people? And you say, well, I guess I could. And you're now the innocent third party. You're the guy that is taking the heat for the pawn shop owner that was caught with all the hot goods. You see? So we've got a bunch of innocent third party receivers that we have to deal with and explain to them, okay, well, this is where the money came from. This is who it originally belonged to, and therefore who it still belongs to, because guess what? Possession by pirates does not change ownership. Aha, okay, so it actually belongs to these people over here, and they have the proof. Oh, okay, well, then you have to go through the whole process of explaining this, and you have to bring enforcement against it, and you have to, make sure that everybody is cared for. Many of these innocent third-party recipients or receivers are good people. They mean well. They want to see everybody get their share of well, I just explained to you. Africans get all of Africa, and Americans get all of America, and Canadians get all of Canada, and and they're concerned that we won't divvy things up that way, that somehow or other we're going to just take in all this stuff and not distribute it out back again. And the reason that they have this fear is that they think that we're the ones that were controlling the Federal Reserve System. They think that we're the ones that set up this whole substitution and Ponzi scheme conundrum of fraud and commodity rigging when we didn't. We're the victims. We're the actual owners. And these middlemen came in and commandeered our stuff and used it in a way that was never approved by us. So, we're not here to steal from Canada. We're not here to steal from Ireland or France or Germany or anybody else or India. No, we want everybody to have their stuff back. We want our stuff back. If you've ever read my irrevocable will, I made it absolutely clear that I'm just here for my stuff. I'm not interested in stealing or controlling your stuff. I want you to step forward, claim your stuff, and take responsibility for it yourselves. And that's what our founders established. That's what we're talking about, self-governance. If you want to just pare it all down in terms of dollars and cents, you're responsible for your public and private assets. Nobody else, you. And although they have set up this system where you have a public trust to hold the public assets, right? You still have to take your responsibility and do your part in directing the use of those public assets. So just stop for a moment and think about all the public assets in America. Think about the infrastructure, the schools, the fire stations, the trooper headquarters, the courthouses, and all the public facilities. Think about the sanitation department and the public safety department and the DOT and all the roads and bridges and all the stuff that is the underlying framework for business in this country. That all belongs to you. But when have you ever taken an interest and directed the development and use of these things? Let's see all those hands there. When's the last time that you voted on extending the electrical grid? When's the last time that you received any money back from your investments in electrical power generation? No.
Never. Yeah, never have.
Yeah. And when have you ever gotten anything back from the use of your roads? These are investments. These are public investments. These are what are called capital asset investments. And hundreds of millions of dollars go into those kinds of capital projects and capital investments every single year in every state of the union. And yet you never see a dollar back, do you? It's your assets, right? This is what I'm telling you. You're going to have to be more responsible. You're going to have to be more aware, and you're going to have to demand your profit back.
Wait, so in a real world, like a real world example, okay, so there are communities that are having parades and they're shutting down their main streets for the 250th anniversary, right, coming up. And all kinds of things are happening around the country this summer. So are you saying that when a local, a municipality shuts down the street and they charge the organizer of the special event $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 to because they have to have extra staff that day to protect the street because they're going to have vendors and flags and lights and electricity.
Mm-hmm.
And then so they charge a quote permit fee for this celebration.
Mhm.
Are you saying like Americans that live in that town may want to knock on the door of their local city council and say, "Excuse me, where's my cut of that $10,000, 5,000, whatever it is, fee for
But
the one
yeah,
day or two
but
event kind of a thing?"
but even more day to day, your electric cooperative is a multi-million-dollar venture. It's a giant corporation. It's got tons of facilities. It's got all sorts of equipment. It's got thousands of employees, and they're all uh, using your assets to generate power, selling power to you, and you should be making a profit off of that. And you should be making decisions about, the extension of the grid, and what kind of fuels that you're using, and the safety of the grid, and backup of the power grid. All those sorts of things should be coming in front of your desk, and you should have to think about it as an owner of the public asset, right?
Correct.
And when they make money, which they do,
Oh,
I don't know if you've ever gotten a capital credit statement from your utility company, whether
nope,
it's a water utility, a gas utility, electrical utility. Have you ever got a capital credit statement from them?
nope.
Well, they'll show your account, and then next to your account, there will be a rather large sum of money that's supposed to be your capital credits. But your capital credits never translate into a break on your electric bill, do they?
Nope.
You never know that these capital credits exist.
Nope. In fact, the bill goes up every year, it
Oh,
seems like.
yeah, your bill goes up, but you never get your capital credits back. You never get anything out of those capital credits. And some of us have capital credits that are like $30,000 worth of capital credits sitting on the books. But do you ever get any advantage out of it? Do you even know that you have capital credits? Is anyone accountable for it? Okay, so you see, you've
Not
not only got your private world,
after
when you
tonight.
when you self-govern, you've got your public world that you have to take care of too. And with all the gains and all the losses. So I'm just kind of opening this up to your thought pattern here so that you're thinking about it in terms of the bicycle and using both pedals, and what self-governance really means. I mean, we start out with self-governance, meaning we learn to govern ourselves. We learn to govern our own emotions, our own thoughts, our own values, everything to become who we are. And then from there, we start dealing with our persons, our roles in the world. We start dealing with, okay, I'm mom. Okay, here's my first person. I'm a mom. Okay, so what does that mean? What does it mean to me? And I start governing as mom. All right. And after I'm done governing as mom, well, then I go to work, right? And then I'm Mrs. Fassbender, the geography teacher. Okay, and there's my other person, and on and on and on like this. And at each level, we learn to govern. We learn to govern ourselves. We govern our persons, our jobs, our roles. Okay. And part of our role that we've just been shuffling off to unknown trustees have been all of these public infrastructure assets that have just kind of been running on automatic, like an autopilot. Nobody but a utility commission ever knows whether it's breaking even or not. Nobody but a utility commission knows where the capital credits are. Nobody but the utility commission has a vote in how to distribute the capital credits or what the capital credits mean or what they can be used for by the members of the co-op, right? So they
No,
charge you for all their expenses, but they never share their profits.
wait, but Anna, when you say co-op, okay, because there are a lot of municipalities out there, and then they contract with these utility companies. For example, right in my neighborhood, it's Southern California Edison for electrical, and it's quote the gas company for gas or SoCal Gas. But some neighborhoods have like Department of Water and Power and things like this.
Right. Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's always a corporation and you're always a member of it.
So when you say co-op
A
in
lot of people's have co-ops too. It doesn't matter. That's another form of corporation. But you're all members because you're all what? You're all account holders.
nice. This is
So since you're an account holder, it's your responsibility to pay their bills, but it's not necessarily their responsibility to share the profits. Or
hmm.
when there are profits, to distribute the profits to you.
So they only have to share their profits with their capital credits, the people that get capital credits on their accounts. Is that right?
Well, everybody should be getting capital credits apportioned to their account every year that the utility shows a profit, right? But they just sort of hang there like a credit balance that never gets used. There's never a settlement of the capital credits. They never come back to you and say, "Oh, gee, George, you have $1,768 in capital credits that were undistributed profits for the year 2024. What do you want to do with your capital credits?" They don't let you lift your hand and say, "Oh yeah, I would like to apply my capital credits from 2024 to any electrical bills in 2026." No, they don't do that. They just leave those capital credits hang there until, after 10 years, they just say, "Oh, gee, nobody collected these capital credits. Guess they're abandoned funds."
Or what they might do, I'm not making any allegations, but there might be communities like Paradise, California, or Maui, Hawaii, or other places that just randomly burned down that needed to have an expenditure of a whole brand new grid of utilities.
Right, right. And actually, there is a history here of entire towns being burned down and then being repopulated by orphans or refugees.
Right. And these communities are founded by someone or other.
Right.
Mhm.
So this is a pattern. This is something that's been in practice for a long time. And you should be aware also in the banking side that for many thousands of years, banking has been practiced in China. And in China, the way that they do this is they go through a cycle, a banking cycle, where they collect everything in as debt and then they disperse everything again. They just disperse a whole bunch of money. And this is what they call the reset. You've heard about reset? Well,
Yes.
this is the Chinese model where they want to, okay, they've gathered in all the debt. The 1% now holds all the money, right? And now they want to disperse it because that's how it's like casting fertilizer out there on the fields, right? They want to disperse all this money and transfer all this money out to uh, people and businesses. However, here's the evil thing of it. They want to disperse this money and then collect usury on it. And
Oh,
at the end of the day, it's your money that they're dispersing.
so not only do they steal it, but then they end up charging us to use it and they charge interest.
Right, right. Now you got it.
Hmm.
It's a ancient fraud scheme. And as far as I'm concerned, the emperor not only has no clothes, the emperor is wearing a large hat on the top of his head shaped like a funnel. Okay, we this is ridiculous. When I was a little girl, my father had a box, probably about 4 times the size of your average cigar box, okay?
Hmm.
But it was shaped like a cigar box and it had a lid like a cigar box. And it was stuffed full of every kind of currency you could think of. I mean, it had British pounds, it had French francs, it had German Deutschmarks, it had all these different kinds of currency. And I remember looking at this as a little girl and, doing the little kid thing, uh, putting the different kinds of currency in piles, you know, finding the coins that went with the bills and making stacks of all the different kinds of currency according to the country it was issued from. And I remember asking my father about these different kinds of currencies. And he said, well, they're just different products. It's like the Hershey bar versus the Nestle bar. They're different competing products.
Yeah.
And they do, they essentially do the same function. They just do it in a different country.
Yeah. If you call a currency a product, suddenly that puts it into a different paradigm, right? Because if you think of it as money, which currency is not money, but if you think of it as money or you think of it as lawful money in some way, you forget because somehow money is like ubiquitous. It's like this overarching umbrella of everythingness when it comes to um, the power of purchasing or trading or whatever. You just people just think the dollars
Right,
have this sort of power, but if you put it into the same category as any other product, right?
right.
$1 might be worth a bottle of a plastic bottle of water. Um,
Yeah,
think of it as a product as opposed to like this, umbrella.
magical thing.
Yeah. That's very valuable information, Anna. I think that's going to help people cross over.
Yeah, well, that was my dad telling me. So here's Uncle Sam. He has this product. It's called a Federal Reserve note. Oh, and also this product. Oh, it's a US silver dollar. Oh, and over here we have the gold eagle, right? And over here we have the Queen of England. And oh, here's the British pound sterling. And here's the euro. And these are all different trading instruments. They're different commodities, different products that come from different countries that are used for trade purposes within their borders. Okay, so that's really all the magic is. They're competing products and they're all ginned up in the back room. And they either are based on something solid and physical and actually are money, or they stand for money and are issued as credits, debits, or it could be stocks, could be bonds, whatever.
You're solving a mystery for me right now, Anna, because a couple of years ago, I went into one of these, it's not a pawn shop, but like a money shop, right? Where you can purchase old coins and old doll,
Mhm.
and they have like a trained, seasoned, very wise numismatist that works there, and it's super fun to go in there and just talk and gain some knowledge because they've been doing this for so long, and they could tell the difference between like a fake coin and a real coin. They could tell the difference between like, they could look at a gold coin and know pretty much the percentage of actual real gold in that coin, and stuff like that. So anyway, I was waiting my turn one day, because it was during that time that the bank was, our GFG was just about to launch, and we were talking about the value of those silver certificates, right? And I happen to know that at this particular shop, they had an abundance of these silver certificates that you can get for a little over $1. So US dollars. So I thought, or
No, I can't. Just
Smith.
no.
So I went in and waited my turn. And then, but there were people in front of me, and I was watching them trade. They were spending FRNs to get real gold and silver. And I remember thinking to myself, why on earth would this numismatist get rid of all of this stock of gold, real gold and real silver that they have on hand in exchange for FRNs? I was like hard to fathom at that time. But what you're saying tonight about the currency just being another product, it's like clicking, it's clicking that they may see gold and silver as being another product, as a currency, a form of currency, USD for people that paid with a credit card or debit card, or cash in the form of FRNs. And so thank you for solving that little mystery, because I couldn't, I, for the life of me, that's been an unsolved mystery, but now I get it, is that they think of it as a product, that they're some sort of, exchangeable, equal value, or whatever type of a thing.
Well,
Thank
yeah, I mean, think of going to a livestock market and you have all these dairy cows for sale. You've got Guernseys, you've got Jerseys, you've got Holsteins, you know, it's the same kind of thing. You've got a product and, you're buying that particular brand or that particular breed or that particular um, form,
Mhm.
and you're signaling your preference by buying that product. And you can also boycott it, right? You could boycott, uh, and this has happened in the past, where, for example, you had a boycott of the British pound sterling because they devalued it in the marketplace.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. And that's the, supply and demand. It's some sort of a natural law that occurs. Yeah.
Yeah, well, and now, just to me, myself, it always made more sense that something which had value as a commodity, like silver, right?
Mhm.
It has value as a commodity because why? It's used industrially.
Mhm.
It's a necessary component for a lot of different technological applications. And so, not only does it have a unique physical nature, but it has uses that make it valuable. And therefore, it always makes more sense to me to buy silver or gold or something that is like that, that has value because it has uses, than it does to use substitutes like Federal Reserve notes that stand for value, right? Because actually, what you have when you're holding a paper asset is paper. And
Right.
and we all know that paper just does not hold a lot of value in and of itself. So uh, it just always strikes me as making at least a little more sense to deal with actual gold and silver uh, than to deal in terms of paper that represents gold or silver. But
Mhm.
there is a problem in that there is a limit. There's always an actual physical limit to how much gold or silver is available in the world market at any given time, which means it's inelastic. There's just so much of it, and you can't expand on that amount until you actually go out and mine more, or more of it comes into the market that's been withheld, rat holed away in somebody's basement, right?
Right.
Because, there's just so much of it. So when you're dealing with gold and silver, you're dealing with an inelastic currency. And if you need, for some reason, to grossly expand an economy in order to do something, like rebuilding the world after World War II, then you need an elastic currency. You need a currency that can be expanded almost at will and to whatever extent you need, so that you can afford to keep the hamster wheel turning and actually get the work done. So that's basically what they did. They adopted an elastic currency system to be able to eat this gigantic need. Okay.
Mhm.
Um, so they expanded the debt in order to be able to rebuild after the Second World War. And all of that credit that was extended based on assets then had to be repaid at usury.
Mm. Man, what a sham, Anna.
Yeah, I know. It's just gigantic. It's huge. And once you see it, once you realize that what you're looking at is real, and that this is really, going down right in front of you all the time, in front of your face, you kind of go, well, why didn't I ever see that before, right? It's like, boy, I've really been a chump. I haven't even thought about money. I haven't realized that I was being duped. I haven't realized that I've been paying Omar the idol maker to, go in the back room and come up with a nice little symbol for me to trade, and that I'm paying him the full face value of it plus usury.
Yeah, without really paying attention to the first tablet, right? It's like, we were brought out of Egypt, weren't we? And then here we are. Here we are as a people that are supposed to be on the land, right? And we're engaging and having focus whatsoever on these idols that you're talking about, right? These silver and gold pieces of, you know,
Graven images,
graven images. Ah!
you know, you shall have no graven images.
Yeah, I know. Sometimes people think that is like, oh, you mean, are you telling me that because I have a tattoo, I'm going to hell? I'm like, oh man, really? Is that where we're starting?
No, but no, literally, the Bible does talk about this.
I know,
And
yeah.
it forbids us to use graven images. Well, what is a graven image? It's something that is engraved, right? And it's an image of something in the external real world,
Yep.
right?
We're not supposed to have any graven images of any animals or people or, all the things that it outlines in the first, gosh, was it Deuteronomy or Leviticus? I forget, but it's early. Um,
Right.
yeah.
And this is what they're talking about. They're talking about money. They're
Hmm.
talking about idolatry. They're talking about symbolism and the use of icons to
Yep.
stand for actual things, but not being actual things.
Right.
So
Yep.
this is a mental problem that we have. that we don't even talk about or think about. We are just indoctrinated into the money system from the time we're small, and we don't think about it.
Mhm.
But we should think about it, because they are using the money system to enslave us and terrorize us and coerce us, and are treating us like lab rats that are trained to, push the little lever and get a grain of corn, push the little lever and get a grain of corn, go to your job at 7 o'clock in the morning and push the lever and you'll get a little grain of corn. And it doesn't even cost them anything. It doesn't cost the corn manufacturers hardly anything in exchange for what you then have to give back to them for doing what? Creating a product. You see, it's just a shameless scam, and has been always. And it should have been outlawed a long time ago. But the problem is, what do you replace it with? What's better? Well, we used to have national currencies, and the theory was that the whole nation would benefit to the extent that their currency was valuable. Okay. So among all of the different things that we've tried in the past to get a handle on the scam, we tried national currencies. Well, that didn't work because national currencies were inelastic. And after the Second World War, the need for new investment was such that they had to go to an inelastic currency in order to meet the need. And here we are, still struggling over the same concepts, still struggling over the same needs. And so, strange as this may sound to you, the whole concept of issuing prepaid credit that's owed to us to pay off their national debts was unheard of. The
Yeah.
bankers were just astonished. It was like, you could do that? Well, how else are you going to do it? How else are you going to credit both sides of the ledger? If you don't have a credit, but all you have is debt, you don't have a ledger, you've got a Ponzi scheme. So we had to develop and create the prepaid credit in order to do the accounting. Otherwise, there was just nothing but debt, 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 and more debt, nothing counterbalancing it on the books. And you can see for yourself how ridiculous that is, because that presumes that everybody is just endlessly giving out of their own free will, volunteering to gift all this, goods and services eternally for in exchange for an IOU that isn't even a negotiable instrument.
Well, the ridiculousness of it here's if I could summarize, because of conversations and trying to help people comprehend that we're doing this restoration project and we've got to focus locally and we've got to stand up our assemblies, because without it, we don't have the standing that we need to enforce our laws. But even more than that, Anna, because all of these, we'll call them incorporated entities, right, that provide the utilities that we were talking about, grocery stores, fuel at the gas pump, really everything. Okay. Where people are really struggling, I've had more people reach out to me this week saying they're running out of a way to afford their own lives, and they're getting frustrated with the assembling process because not everybody is all in, right? Not everyone is committed to the long haul and getting this done. And or if they are committed, they can't afford to stay committed because they've got these obligations on paper to meet, to make sure that they could flip their lights on and have the water still running and have, fuel in the gas tank in their vehicles, et cetera, or their cars. So this is where the rubber is meeting the road, Anna, because there's a lot of new people coming in. I've had way too many people reach out to me regarding setting up quote their trust, and they want to be the first party creditor. They think that they're going to be somehow this new sovereign citizen situation. It's like there's an influx of people that are coming in on many, many states that are not fully stood, like Ohio and Tennessee, et cetera. But where we're having like a fork in the road that's happening right now is that there are many people that are like, that's it, I'm standing, I'm not going to budge. And they're getting kicked out of their homes. They're getting locked out. They're getting arrested. They're getting foreclosures and all of these things. And so while we're in this, like
transition,
while we're right here in the fork in the road, what should be our best advice for people that literally they've got the 3-day notice on the door, and if they're not out, they're going to be moved by people with weapons and shackles, and they're going to have their home stolen?
well, the best way to deal with this is to we're going to have kind of a national level um, addressing of this coming week.
Mm-hmm.
The corporations have been acting in a lawless fashion for a long time.
Yeah.
And they've been getting away with it. And they even think they're right. They think they have a right to do this based on the fact that they provided us with services. What they don't see is that their services were already paid for. Okay? We don't owe them a damn thing.
No.
We are tax pursuits exempt from levy and always have been. And the rest of it is just nothing but fraud and game playing by corporations that were entrusted to act according to their contracts and didn't. Okay, so the pedal to the metal is coming within the next 7 days. The initial takedown of the municipal corporation has already happened. And one of the things I wanted to bring forward to people is that, in a sense, it's already all over. It's already gone. It's already done.
Mm.
And we're just in the final throes of cleaning up the mess. So I know that there are ugly situations out there, and we try to keep the peace and keep moving and keep pushing in the direction of restitution. Now, we still have some, I guess you could call them educational work to do. We have educated the bankers, and now we have to educate the third-party receivers. But it's the same facts, and it's going to go the same way. And the way is for each one of us to realize that we own this country. Okay? Individually and collectively, we own this country. It's ours, nobody else's. And so as I say, America belongs to Americans, Africa belongs to Africans. And there's no doubt about this. There's no way to argue about it. And there's no way to cheat or gainsay. So these people that have been acting out of school, those who have been using a statutory law against the living people who are the actual owners, are going to get tossed out on their rumps. I mean, they're simply going to have a pink slip, and that will be that. They will no longer have a job. They will either correct their activities and correct their assumptions and get back to work within the confines of their actual service contract, or they will be booted out the door. Their positions will be deleted. Their paychecks will stop. And then what?
That is what needs to happen, because there are people in many various positions within government, within non-governmental organizations, within subcontractors, and then subcontractors of subcontractors of subcontractors, and all the way down the line. And they get up every morning and they do all the same things that we do: brush their teeth, have a little breakfast and coffee, whatever. And then they go about their day doing this policy enforcing,
Right.
not knowing that what they're doing is offending the actual living men and living women of their respective locations, their nations, okay, their nation and their nation states, right? So um this is really a broader message too for policy enforcers at every level. Okay, there's like turtles all the way down that are just doing their job, and they're like, they have tunnel vision, they're staying in their lane, and then some other department is going to be responsible for shackling some other part of these people's life, the lives of innocent men and women who are just going along to get along.
Yeah.
And at some point, anyone who is enforcing the stealing of rights of average and everyday men and women all over this country need to have a wake up call and look in the mirror and go, wow,
Exactly.
what on earth? What
I
on earth
know.
is going on? Right. And it's challenging because there are many people with professional licenses. I think I remember at some point I shared with you, right, when I had horrible water damage loss, right, in my life. It was outrageous. And if it wasn't for the insurance, I would have lost my home. So there's like this weird paradigm of like, oh my gosh, what do you do? Because I was grateful for insurance at that moment, but there are some forms of insurance where they're mandatory and they create a slavery, debt system and whatever, that it ends up not being a good thing.
Yeah, well, so remember, insurance is for corporations. Indemnity is for living people.
Right.
So we have indemnity. They have insurance.
Yes.
And, these are fine points that you only learn after you have scrubbed your nose numerous times. But anyway, I think we ought to get to some questions. I can see the hands are proliferating here.
Yes, they are. We have 10 hands up. And I think last week when we did that 5-minute thing, I think it worked out really well. And so before we get to it, I just want to make sure that everyone's on the same page, that if you've got your hand up and you see this little emoji, okay, can everybody see that running across the screen? If you see that emoji, that is that the 5-minute timer went off. And so we're going to try to make sure that everybody who has their hand up has an opportunity to ask their question. And so I'm just queuing up my 5-minute clock right now to make sure that we can keep everybody on point and make sure that we honor and respect Anna's time and everybody's time, especially those folks that are on the East Coast trying to go to bed before tomorrow. Okay.
Right.
We love you.
Exactly.
All right. So the first hand up, Rocky on Nevada. Go ahead, Rocky.
Hello, Anna.
Hi,
You
Rocky.
see here, I actually wrote up a letter. I'm not going to read it now because you answered most of it, but I do want to go over some of the stuff that I seen on Monday night because Monday night call, I'm on all the calls, and the Monday night one, it was informative. A lot of people I've got, like Michelle says, got blown up with emails, texts, and everything else about what was said on there. But again, if you actually, rewatched it and paid attention to what's there, they went over the whole, Hunter and his group went over the whole system, which was an eye opening to how much stuff is there. And when they got to the part to where there was showed the training part of it, of how you can get some training on the system and all that, naturally me, if I see any training, then Rocky's going to do training, because we're going to do it and see what it is that we need to learn about the system so I can tell people what's there and what's not there, right? So, I went through the training, whatever, and I got to the one part in it where it said that eventually we would be able to transact all over the world, meaning that we were going to be able to transfer our currencies back and forth to different kinds of deals, like the ruble or FRNs or whatever, right? And then, the guy that had the screen name Smiley, he pops up and he says, "Why would you even want to transfer your AFDs to FRNs?" And the whole concept, I don't think he got it, is that we didn't want to transfer our AFDs to the FRNs. We wanted to pay our bills. You know what I'm saying? That's what the people were talking about. They and I think they, like what you said, Anna, is there's got to be another session of this that explains the other half of this on
Oh,
how
yeah.
we are actually going to transact with other things. You know what I'm saying? It's like one of the things that, most of the people see when they come into this system is that we're looking at, and we see the QFS and we see a lot of other systems, and they're tied to where if you don't spend your money right, they're going to cut you off and all this stuff. Well, we've seen some of that even with the GFG, where people put money in the vault and they had medical issues, whatever, couldn't get it out, and then their accounts are closed. So we're having an issue with, is this really our assets, and who's keeping our assets safe? Because what we've been told and why we come into this is that our assets would be safe. The federation would protect it, the state would protect it, your counties would protect your assets, right? And some of this we're not seeing, and the people are getting discouraged, and they're saying, well, I'm not going to be doing this because I don't see the value in it, right? Like we're talking about the value. And it goes even with our assemblies, and why a lot of the assemblies are not building is because people are coming into the assemblies and they see all, there's a few hand of people that are controlling the assembly, and it's really not all the people, and they're coming into this to be free. We want to be free. We want to be out of the system we're in today. And for us to do that, our assemblies have to be free too, meaning that all the people need to make those decisions. And we need to be able to, if we're not getting it done, whatever, how do we reset that so that we can get a free system, a government that the people really want? Anyway, go ahead, Ann, and just tell me whatever you want to answer onto that.
Well, I just say we need to have another session where we talk about system one.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, I would say that people need to take more responsibility for themselves and their world and get more determined about having a voice and a choice, and making choices that are good for you and for your community and your state and your world.
Mm-hmm.
We get people off on a tangent every once in a while. We get people who have a misunderstanding about something that is so intractable that they continue to do things that are wrong even when you try to correct them. So all sorts of different things go on, but at the end of the day, it's up to us.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as think about this. Federal Reserve notes are debt.
Hmm.
The more Federal Reserve notes you collect, the deeper in debt you are.
Hmm.
Hello. Why would
Exactly.
you want to ever have anything in Federal Reserve notes?
But you really wouldn't. But because, say, you have a house and you have a loan on it, it's for so many FRNs. Well, you want to
And
pay
what,
that off or get rid of it by using your prepaid credit, right? So you would have to do some kind of exchange into their world to get rid of it, right? And that's kind of what people are thinking. They're not thinking that they want the FRNs in their hands because you said, like, it's debt. We don't want more debt. We want to actually get rid of the debt we have, right? Which is based on FRNs.
Mhm.
And, that's basically what the people are thinking. And you know, they're starting to see double things. And that's why, the call kind of blew up. And I think people didn't really pay attention to what was really there and what was going on. You know what I'm saying?
well, they had a different expectation.
Right.
Okay, they have an expectation bias is what it's called. I want to point something else out to you. Not only are FRNs debt, they're non-negotiable.
Right.
Okay, so they're literally worthless.
Hmm.
Okay, they represent debt, but they're non-negotiable instruments. And on top of that, the entities that issued these non-negotiable debt chits, like poker chips, right,
Hmm.
are going bankrupt. So how do you get your money back for your debt that you're holding? You're holding the debt of this corporation that is bankrupt or out of business already.
Hmm.
So what are you going to do? How do you force them to pay you back for the goods and services that you have exchanged already
Hmm.
for these debt notes, for these IOUs? And they
Right.
are just going bankrupt and leaving you to hold the bag.
Exactly.
Well, and that's the issue. I don't mean to interrupt,
Go ahead.
but because that's the only money, the only exchange that they will accept as a cancellation of the quote debt, it's the only thing that they will accept. And so perhaps what we need to do is formulate the appropriate materials that would have them recognize that the AFD is a valid form of exchange, if that's the right terminology,
No,
Mhm.
no.
cancel out that debt. I'm not exactly sure how to word it, but they're not accepting the AFD.
And what's this called? This is called a currency monopoly.
Yes, a
And
monopoly.
a currency monopoly is what? Oh, it's illegal. Oh, and guess what? It's obstruction of trade.
Mm.
Oh, my.
Mhm.
Hello. Here we are. You've been given this currency by a corporation that has no right to issue currency for you. And now you're being charged for the debt as well as all of the goods and services that you exchanged for this bogus piece of shit, uh, quote unquote, currency, right?
Exactly. Yeah, it's just as a coordinator, we get all kinds of questions. We try to field them and answer them the best we can.
Well,
And, it's you're our best, person. I have plenty of those
okay.
because that is the
I
currency.
want to bring us back around to it's better to be holding this than to be holding a piece of paper at
Exactly.
the end of the day. Okay. So what you're being when you're trading FRNs for AFDs, you're trading pieces of paper for a share of gold bullion.
Right.
So are you better or worse off having traded for some gold bullion?
Mhm.
Well, part of it is the method of enforcement that we now have at hand, where we can enforce our prepaid credit.
Mhm. Right.
And that is really where it's at, is enforcing the prepaid credit against the Federal Reserve notes. Because remember, debt and credit are part of one system,
Right.
and gold and silver and physical assets are part of a separate second system.
Okay.
Okay, so you're not really exchanging AFD for Federal Reserve notes. What's happening is that the Federal Reserve notes are coming in and they are being tallied and removed from the system.
Okay.
And you are being given AFD
Mhm.
in the physical system in exchange, and you're being given AFD in the physical system at a rate that makes up your losses since 1913.
Right.
Now, is this a completely workable system at this point? No, because you can't take a silver dollar and go down to the grocery store and exchange it anywhere in this country, except in Texas.
Exactly.
So God bless Texas.
Definitely. Anyway, my 5 minutes went up, whatever, and I appreciate it. Thank you for your answer. And if you can do some articles or something on this, would be great too.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rocky. And thank you, Anna. Yeah, I think that obstruction of trade conversation is a much bigger thing. Instructions on who to hold accountable, like who to inform, how to hold them accountable for this unlawful and illegal act would be very helpful. All right.
Yeah, well, it is illegal. It's illegal internationally and nationally, and they've been getting away with it because nobody's been objecting. Well, so time to object.
Time to start objecting and to the right persons.
Right. Now, Mr. Trump is doing his typical thing in his little world and his British territorial corporate presidency. And you can see how he's working his part of the bailiwick, right? We have to get busy and work our part of the bailiwick.
Well, this education is definitely helping with that process. All right, next up we have Mike McGowan. And Mike, and I apologize, and thank you, Rocky, for giving us the opportunity to all learn how to make this call even better. The 5 minute clock is going to be not only for your question, but also to include time for Anna to answer. So I want to make sure that everybody gets your question out succinctly and clearly. Try to give Anna one question at a time. If you've got 10 questions, maybe don't dump all of them on Anna all at once. Give her an opportunity to answer one question at a time, and we'll get to that 5 minute mark. And I think it may be more valuable for everybody. All right, Mike McGowan, go ahead.
Okay, kind of talk fast. Anna, you mentioned Emperor has new clothes and want to go from the Hans Christian Andersen to another one, Tom Sawyer, when he goes to paint the fence and he gets all the townspeople to help. Because I think maybe the Emperor doesn't have any clothes in terms of the design of this. It's a wonderful system, the banking. But when somebody said, do you need volunteers? And Hunter said, well, we want people that are led to do this. And the issue I see is that if they roll this out to 8 billion or whatever people on the planet, and it takes 1 minute per person to approve those accounts, and you have 1,000 workers, and I have no idea how many that they have, but that will take 45 years, almost 46 years, working 24/7 without a potty break. So we're replacing one king for another, not because we're trying, but because of the bottleneck that occurs in being able to approve accounts and say, hey, that is a live man on the United States, or me on Colorado, or somebody else on South Africa. And so my thought is, if we could get a way, or design into the system the ability for us to say we're adding intrinsic value, and so we do Zoom events like we're doing here, and we have witnesses that can then witness what's going, that the live people are coming on board. They show us their paperwork, and then we can approve, and then they are become the next deputy global agents, what have you, so that they can do the same thing. And so, as we're approving people, the amount of agents on the global side grow exponentially, like the number of account holders, so that the one number keeps up with the other. Because otherwise, this is never going to work. There's just too many people to handle.
Well, bear in mind that the powers of the government and all the records that already exist will be just straight lined into the system. We're changing the system. Okay, there's already an existing system. We're going to a new system. It's
So
not
you're
all
just
going
going
to
to,
have to be redone. All that's going to really have to happen is that people are going to have to make an individual choice. And if your paperwork is already in one system, there's no reason that we're going to have to continue doing a process like this, except to make a declaration. So, for example, in the United States, we have 320 million people who are already identified as Americans. Do we have to go back and do all that work and re-identify Americans as Americans? I don't think so. What we're going to do at a certain point here is just say, are you claiming your birthright status? This is what this means. Read it and check.
gotcha. So it can be automated down the road. Okay,
It is
I yield.
automated already, and it's going to become easier and more automated.
Right, because right now they have to approve them manually, and that's the part that I was worried about. So I thank you.
Right.
I yield.
Once it rolls over and we take over that system, we're not going to have to go through this painstaking return process. The legal presumption will change from you being a foreigner living here to you being a native person living here.
Gotcha.
Dare I say, in the blink of an eye?
Yes.
Thank you, Anna. A supernatural moment that in the blink of an eye, we will all meet we'll all meet in the air, right? So,
Well, and in terms of jurisdiction, literally in the air, because it's a matter of thought.
yes, this is why I love reading the word. Okay, Sarah Lynn Dollar. Go ahead, Sarah Lynn.
She was there just a moment ago.
Yep, she'll unmute in just a moment.
Hey, everybody.
Hi.
So, Anna, I've been asked to ask you. Um, Georgia has given you an IT infrastructure proposal on Nextcloud, and they wanted to know if you had a chance to look at that yet. And the reason I ask is, if I can speak on it for just a second, Georgia has been running this system now for about 5 years. It is open source system built to run the government and so much more. We on Georgia would like to open it up for all of the assemblies. And if you're intrigued, would you consider our IT person, a mod, to come on the call one night and explain in depth how it would and how it does work? So it's a pretty good system, and we just want everybody to, if you're interested, come check it out.
Yeah, I talked to Josh about that and Hunter and everybody, and there's really no reason why we can't do exactly that. Have sort of a presentation here at the coordinators meeting.
Okay, great. So y'all just let me know what day and I'll get them on the call.
Okay,
Thank you, Anna. Good to see you.
take care, dear.
Thank you, everybody.
All right, reach out to me, Sarah Lynn, and we'll get them on the calendar, okay?
Okay, I sure will, Michelle. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
All right, wow, with 2.5 minutes to spare. All right, Glenn, go ahead, Glenn, on Florida.
Thank you, Michelle. Good
Welcome.
evening, Anna.
Hi.
How are you? This is Glenn Siegler in Florida. I recently went through Lisa's training for coordinated training. I was vetted by the Continental Marshals last week. I received a email from Continental Marshal Pappas stating that I had passed my vetting. I was anxious and appreciated the opportunity to get to work, so I forwarded that email to some of the other people that had elected positions on the state of Florida and wanted to communicate with them and ask them to set up a meeting. Some of them were very gracious and accepted the meeting. Others ignored it completely. And a few of them have questions and don't believe that I've been appointed as a coordinator yet. So I'm going to ask the question for you to answer so that maybe if they're listening, um, who hires coordinators for the state?
The Federation.
Okay. And once a coordinator is hired, can another coordinator or another person running the meeting keep a coordinator out of the meeting?
No, the coordinators are supposed to function as a team. And, different coordinator teams have different ways of splitting up duties. And, sometimes the state will have people working a specific geographical area. And sometimes it's just according to the skill set of the individuals, One coordinator will do IT and one will do, publicity and outreach. But all coordinators are supposed to work together as part of a team.
Okay. And does that include an appointed coordinator by the retired chairman who has not been vetted by the Federation, who doesn't believe she needs to be because she says she was appointed as a coordinator prior to Chief Continental Marshal Pappas's affirmation on March 14th? So she says, it's my opinion that and that Florida has its own process, and I didn't follow the process. Now, I'm curious how the state can have a process that overrides the federation.
No, it's not that way. The state has never been able to appoint coordinators. At most state assemblies have forwarded people to us that were volunteering. And then we vetted them and trained them and they've become coordinators. But no, all coordinators work under the auspices of the Federation.
And so do the marshal at arms, correct?
The marshal at arms are another position where the state assemblies look among their members and they recommend people for the position, but they get vetted and they are actually Federation employees or positions that are on loan to the state assemblies.
So I had spoken to our marshal at arms and explained to her, because I learned it in Lisa's training, she did a wonderful job with the training, and that she needed to get vetted, and that the marshals had shared that they're going to have a training program as well for the marshal at arms position. And she basically said that even though I sent her the email from Chief Pappas, that she's not honoring that, and she's not going to just take my word that I'm the new coordinator on Florida, and that unless she has something from you or from Terry, she thinks that I need an approval from Terry. Is that something I need, or is it you, or is it just from the marshals?
No, it's directly from the Federation, and you passed vetting, you've passed training, you're a coordinator on Florida. And, there are other coordinators, or there are potentially other coordinators on Florida. And everybody who's seriously engaged in helping organize the assembly, they need to form a coordinator team and work together to get it done.
Absolutely. But at this time, the appointed coordinator that has not been vetted has control of the agenda and the platform and is banning us from even attending the meeting. And Jennifer Gibson is the other coordinator on Florida that went through the training with Lisa and has been vetted tonight and had passed her vetting as well.
Okay, well, you guys are good to go. And the one who was quote unquote appointed by Florida needs to get the training and be vetted as well.
Right. But in the meantime, she has control of everything and is just keeping us out of the meeting.
Well, I think this is pretty good direction to her. Get the training, get the vetting, and you'll be a coordinator, and you'll be expected to work with the other coordinators that are all there for the same purpose, which is to get Florida organized.
But how do we get into that meeting if we're not being allowed in?
Am I not speaking clearly and succinctly?
I'm hearing you, but I don't believe they are because they're not allowing us. We had a meeting tonight and we were banned from the meeting, and we've sent out our notice that we.
Well, I think you need to send them a clip of tonight's meeting.
Well, that's why I'm asking the questions.
Okay.
All right. Do I need to get something in writing from you, or just send them the clip?
I would just send them the clip.
Okay.
There's nothing, the problems about moving forward on Florida because of the elections, the coordinator position does not need an election. It is not an elected position. And there's nothing standing in the way of progress on that.
Okay. And is there anything I need from Terry at this time? Because the
No.
treasurer is telling me that I need to be approved by Terry.
No, you just let Terry know that, okay, I've volunteered, I've taken the training, I've been vetted, and please add my, information as a coordinator for Florida.
Okay. I thank you. I yield. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Glenn. All right. Next up, we have Brad on Virginia. Go ahead, Brad.
Hey, Michelle, how are you?
Great. How are you?
Good. Anna, good to see you tonight. You look a little more rested. That's good to
Finally.
see. Yeah, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I've been going
Quick
through
question.
hell.
I can only imagine. Question for you. How can the so-called bankrupt de facto service contractor roll their money into a new entity instead of paying off their creditors it owes like any other business that, goes bankrupt?
Oh, the magic of government encumbrances. Yeah, they encumber funds. They also have what they call unfunded obligations, which is another tricky little thing that everybody else has to do without. Basically, they've shuffled off everything and have compartmentalized everything to such an extent that they can't go bankrupt as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
So they go bankrupt in part.
Mm. Okay. That figures.
Yeah, it's just, where do I even begin? I guess the place to direct your attention is the CAFRA system, the Comprehensive Annual Financial Reports, CAFRA, C-A-F-R.
Okay.
This is where each state has huge amounts of money. In fact, it's gotten so huge that they can't even put it in one comprehensive report anymore. When you go through these annual financial reports for each state, you will find that there are throughout the report references to other annual financial reports, which are not included, even though in theory, if it's comprehensive, it should be.
It should be.
Okay, so for example, say that you were looking up the CAFR report for Virginia. You would get this kind of stripped down report, and in it would be a bunch of different entities like the Virginia University System and the Virginia Anthropological Society, and all these different things which are quote unquote public, but which are not part of the report itself. And you would have to contact each one of those and get their annual financial report to add in their information. And oftentimes it's billions and billions of dollars that's only
Right.
accounted for in these separate annual financial reports.
Okay.
So you get all this information together and you realize all of a sudden that instead of Virginia being, on the ropes, practically, starvation level situation where they can't afford to pick up the garbage and they can't afford to pay teachers and they can't afford to this, that, and the other thing, you find out that in this other pocket, there's this astronomical amounts of money that have been rat-holed away and hidden from the public.
Mm-hmm.
And when you go to the Virginia Department of Revenue, you'll find a similar situation where there is an account that is for internally managed accounts. And this is where they're keeping track of their actual operational expenses.
Mm-hmm.
And then they will have the externally managed accounts. And the externally managed accounts are huge, and they're being managed by an outside company, a professional financial management company that has made all sorts of investments for the state, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's never accounted for anywhere. It's not in the comprehensive annual financial reports. The only one who has that information is the Department of Revenue.
Okay.
And it's usually managed by a former governor.
Okay.
Just so
Interesting.
you know. So there are huge piles of money, immense slush funds, gigantic encumbered accounts that are regularly manipulated, and then they just they bankrupt a name, and then
Yep.
they come up with a new name and keep going.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Very helpful.
all this is just mismanagement, malfeasance, hiding the cheese. I call it hiding the cheese.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Thank you, Anna. I appreciate it. I yield.
Take care.
Awesome. Thank you so, so much. John Russell, you're up. Go ahead, John.
All righty. Good evening. Thank you, Michelle. Good evening, Anna.
Good evening, John.
I wanted to apologize for the stuff they put you through the other day. There was no need of that. But anyways, I have a question here. Discourses Concerning Government by Alderon Sidney. Are you familiar with him?
I am.
1700s. I watched a video the other day with some of his writings in it, and I was just wondering if you knew about him.
Yeah, well, the 1700s were a critical period in human history where the British government and its legal system were being suborned by commercial interests. And at the same time, there were people that were trying to bring forward models of government that would keep us on the straight and narrow. And so, this is where you see the great thinkers, John Locke, Edmund Burke, Mr. Sidney here, wonderful insight into natural law, how government is supposed to work. all sorts of wonderful stuff came out in the 1700s. Unfortunately, the individuals died and the commercial corporations continued to live. And that is one problem that we have in terms of keeping control of corporations, is that we have a time date stamp and they don't.
That came from Calhoun School of Law on YouTube.
Uh-huh.
And I ordered the book from that Sydney has, and I'm going to gift that to you when I get it.
Okay.
I'm going to mail that to you so you can put it with your collection.
You betcha.
And there's a lot of other stuff that the young man on the YouTube that is the lawyer at Calhoun Law School. And there's a lot more than just that there. There's quite a few different people he's studying and putting on YouTube.
Great.
So there's a
Great.
lot of information there that we can use
That's wonderful.
for
That's a
our
good
common law.
find.
I was excited
Yay.
and very excited on that. The member that people are all upset about here at my assembly, his name is George. Anyways, he's the hardest working person I have in my assembly. If I need something done, he's the one I go to because it gets done and done right. Everybody that is working with him now understands him. You know, he's a sailor. He goes out and sails, so he gets tired. He has illnesses like everybody else. He's an older gentleman like the rest of us. You have to be careful on what day you talk to him. If he's been sailing for 2 days, you want to leave him alone 1 day so he rests up and he's back in his normal. As simple as that. And so I just want to let you know there is good work going on and we are going to get this straightened out. So
I have confidence that you will. And yes, I know that about George. I know that he means well. I know his heart is in the right place.
very good. Thank you. And the other coordinator, Kevin, he's on the call here tonight. So he's going to be, he went through vetting this week from our assembly. So things are moving along. Just like that.
Yay! That's what we want to hear.
So I thank you and I hope I'm on time.
You are.
Sorry, you
Good.
still have a minute
Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Good
I
night.
yield.
Thank you, John Russell. All right, now we have Gwen up on Canada. Go ahead, Gwen.
Thanks, Michelle. Hi, Anna.
Hi,
I have a
Gwen.
really quick question for you. We've
Okay.
been trying to do our homework on Terra Canada, and we need to have our marshal and our treasurer vetted. And I've reached out to Paul, and he said that he's doing the states, but is unsure as to if he can do Canada. He said if you give permission, he'll go ahead, but he was not wanting to step on any toes or do something incorrectly. So that's my question. I yield.
Well, what we would prefer to do, Gwen, is to teach you guys how to do your own vetting.
Okay.
And, you know, we've got a instructional video that Shannon is trying to dig out to share so that you can see the vetting process.
Okay.
And then each country has its own criminal records repositories and those sorts of things. So, you know, if you can't find your own criminal records repository, we could put a little extra help into helping you find it. You know,
Yeah,
how
we've
you,
been doing that. So as people stand for election, we have been vetting them
okay.
and then electing them in the General Assembly. We have a 90-day provision so that they're on sort of probation to allow if the Federation does have to vet them further. And some of these people have already stood for the last year or more in these positions, but we want to correct the record or do what we need to do to your standards.
Well, it's ultimately going to be the responsibility of your federation of states until such time as you come over the line and decide to join us and become part of our system.
And that's on its way to you. So look in the mail. I yield.
Okay, dear.
Thank you, Gwen. All right, with 3 minutes to spare. That's amazing. Thank you, Gwen. All right, we're going to move on to Julie on Washington. Go ahead, Julie. Julie Banchero.
Hi, thank you. Anna, my question has to do with status correction and the specific status correction process for military or retired military. We are wanting to know some direction about men and women who have former service that have status corrected and done their DD, what is it, 2168, I think is the form. Whether or not it is necessary for them to also have their letter of their revocation of service coming back to the land actually available should they want to hold a position, an official position in their assembly as an American state citizen. We're just wanting to make sure that we dot all the I's and cross all the T's on this particular matter before holding an election. And so we're trying to qualify people appropriately. And I'll yield and let you answer my question. Thank you.
Okay. The danger doesn't come from us. It comes from the de facto corporate entities. If you don't send a letter to your branch of service commander and have proof that you sent it, then they can continue to assume that you are in their jurisdiction, and they can continue to impose upon you and presume upon you to the effect that you are one of their reservists, that you have entered civilian military status, is what they call it. You know, another oxymoron. So you want to have that letter saying, sir, I'm returning to my birthright standing on the state of Washington, or, you know, the state known as Washington. And, you know, just have that very short little brief letter, and you can send it express mail, you know, just priority express. And it'll cost you $16. It'll be there the next day, and you'll have the proof that you sent it in with the receipt and the tracking number. And that's that. You never have to worry about it again.
Okay,
But
so I have to ask a follow-up to what you just said, and that is that in our vetting process to qualify people, that particular paper and letter is not a requirement in status correction. It is also not something that is part of the 928 package or anything like that. So we're trying to be sensitive but also thorough in how do we ask people for that, you know.
point it out for their own protection.
Okay.
Because
okay, but what about the protection of the assembly in the sense that they are wanting to be in an official ASC position?
the assembly gets their affirmation that they have and hold no other allegiance to any foreign government. So the assembly is covering its butt with that. But when it comes to the foreign government and its presumptions and assumptions, anyone who's been in the military knows how the military can essentially conscript someone. They can presume that a former officer is still under their thumb. And they will impose on you. They will recall you to some degree of duty as a civilian military officer. This is where you get the uniformed officers, right? And this is also where you get the civilian military. They will presume upon you and say, oh, I see you were a bosun second class in the Navy. Well, sir, You are Mr. What was your name? Parleter? Okay, well, we need you to do this and so and the other thing, and yeah, you're going to do that. Because you see, you're still within their jurisdiction. And if you're in their jurisdiction, you have to take their orders. You have to follow their law. You have to, render yourself as property belonging to the British Crown. So if you want to protect yourself, you send that letter. And the assembly is protected by everybody who is operating as an ASC, making an affirmation that they have no other allegiances to any other government.
You got that, Julie?
Yes, thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you. Great question. Gerda, go ahead, Gerda. You're muted, Gerda. Oh, there you go. Oh, you should be good now, but we can't hear you now. You might need to turn the volume up on your audio. Try this. Go down to your menu, your Zoom menu next to the microphone icon. There's a little arrow up. It looks like a little carrot. Click on that. Click on your audio settings, which is the last option. And then from there, you should be able to do the output volume and input volume and turn those both up. And if that doesn't work, we'll move on and come back to you, okay? All right, we're gonna go on to Jamie on Louisiana, and then we'll come back to Gerda. Go ahead, Jamie.
Hi. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
I don't have any particular assembly issues to address. I wanted to bring forth some good news for everybody, and especially for Anna. And just a few days ago, I saw on X an account from a guy named Rodney Smith Jr., who's a young black man. He's on Huntsville, Alabama. I'm sure he's not an ASN, but anyway, he is doing something that I think is absolutely fabulous. He started a program, I guess, some years ago to get young people, young boys, young girls, to start taking responsibility in their communities and start learning the satisfaction of helping others and doing and contributing and getting to know people. And what he calls it's raising men and raising women, and he has the 50-yard challenge. Now that has this not to do with football, okay? This is to do with he's getting young boys and young women too to take responsibility to mow 50 yards, to mow 50 lawns of the elderly, the disabled, the first responders, and veterans and people for free. And this is teaching them responsibility, getting out and meeting people and thing, responsibility. And so they're not on their phones. So, and I think it's just great. And it's an incentive program. He runs it like on the basis of the martial arts things. They start out with a white shirt, and every 10 yards they get mowed, they get a different color shirt. I don't know what order it is, but something like red, blue, green. The last one is black. So when they get to 50 yards, they get a completed 50 yards mowed. They get a black shirt, and they also get, a new lawnmower and equipment, everything. And then but this is not just a one-time deal. They said they keep going. They can work in the fall, help raking leaves, which for me personally, I think raking leaves is a waste of time and energy. But anyway, they could shovel snow and help people. And they are learning to be of service and meeting the people in their communities. And I thought maybe, just maybe, this would kind of be something that we might be able to use this, or incorporate this or find out people who are doing this. There is participation in all 50 states. The southern states are leading with participation, but the Midwest is pretty close behind. The lowest number of participations, probably because it's not, maybe not hot enough up there to mow yet, is in the Northeast. But he does have it. It's called the 50-yard challenge. And I read about his post every day and every day I see somebody else from another state that has signed up. What they do when they agree to sign up, I guess they go to the website, and then they probably have their mother or father take a picture of them, and they're holding a sign, a little hand-drawn sign on a piece of paper that says, "I accept the 50-yard challenge." So that is what I wanted to share. And Lisa Schaefer on Ohio, I hope that you are still on, because guess what, girlfriend? Ohio and the 50-yard challenge is in the top 5 for participation. So congratulations. Yeah, and Idaho is too. If you go to the site, I can't remember the website, but he gives a list of all 50 states and where they are and how many people have signed up, how many young people have signed up to do the 50-yard challenge. So I just wanted to share that with you all. I also sent it out to the link to my All States Assembly Forum call a couple of weeks ago. So that's all. And I yield. I hope y'all like that.
I
wanted
just want you to know
help.
that that's more important than you might imagine, because there are a lot of city councils and homeowners associations that are preying upon the elderly who cannot take care of their yards anymore. And they're
Exactly, and that they're helping them avoid fines or getting evicted for people that are not physically able to mow their yards, to keep up their yards. And these young people are doing a terrific job, from what I understand. It's great.
So that it's more important than it might at first appear. I mean, back in my day, we used to go out and take care of the elderly people's yards that didn't have, we had people in our community who were like Gold Star mothers. Their sons were dead in the war. So we would go and take care of their yard for them. But they weren't under any kind of pressure like they have today. It wasn't like the city was going to come in and try to steal their house because they couldn't take care of their yard. It wasn't because they belonged to a homeowners association that was going to bring legal challenges and fines and stuff against them. It was just because we knew that they were elderly and their children were gone. Okay. But today it's gotten much more ugly. And we need that kind of community support to be more aware and to be there. So this is important. This is the difference between people being able to stay in their homes and not be harassed. There are some outrageous harassment situations out there where the elderly are being harassed by real estate agents and council members and real estate investors who are actually threatening them and fining them and causing all sorts of trouble just because they can't do the yard work anymore.
And there's lots of people too that there are changes happening, positive changes. More people are waking up to the fraud and corruption. And there are small changes happening in my state. There in the state of Louisiana legislature, they are trying to get a law passed to do away with the brake tag inspection thing. So bit by bit, it's happening. But admittedly, it's not fast enough for any of us. But at least it's a start.
Behind the push.
So consciousness is rising. People are becoming more aware, and the changes are happening. So
good. That is good news.
So that's my report.
Thank you, Jamie.
Okay, take care, and I love you.
That's great. Thank you so much, Jamie. Thank you for sharing great news. That's wonderful. All right, Gerda, how's your audio going? No, we still can't hear you. Darn. No audio. Can anyone else hear Gerda? Because I can't hear Gerda at all.
I can't either.
All right, Gerda, we'll come back to you. Let's see if you can get it worked out. Okay, we're going to move on to Dwayne. On it looks like Pennsylvania. Dwayne?
Yes, hi, peace and love. How everyone doing?
Great. How
Hi,
are you?
Dwayne.
Awesome, awesome. I just had a question. Um, I was trying to get involved with my assembly in PA, and it's been kind of difficult because I'm trying to help my friends and family, and there have been some discrepancies about how they're coming to the assembly about being charged, and I know that when I first entered, I was charged maybe a little over $200 or something. But I'm hearing that they're supposed to be being charged between 60 or 100, and some people are getting in free documents are wrong. So I just need some clarification on the pricing on getting into the assembly.
I don't know that off the top of my head. I haven't talked to Glenn about that in dog years, so
Anna,
there you are.
this is Glenn. May I respond, please?
Sure.
Thank you. Dwayne,
Hi, Glenn.
you are giving half information
Okay.
because the average price, depending on the paperwork people need done, is a maximum of $50.
Okay.
The one recording secretary who all of your quote unquote friends have worked with um does above and beyond what I do. I do the bare minimum. It's self-governing. You do everything. So it's $25 to record it. And if we do notaries, it's $5 a piece, which can add up to $115 for notary and recording. If the recording secretary does all of your documents from scratch, meaning we don't use any from the LRO or from TASA, because until recently, TASA's documents were not correct. They have been updated. They have finally put up the ones that have been wrong for 2 years. Your friend who is telling you all of this is in California, who, to my knowledge, has never been educated as a recording secretary, but yet he's telling people in Pennsylvania that he supposedly grew up with or is related to or something that we don't know what we're doing, that they don't have to give notice that they are receiving welfare and they don't have to do this document or that document. And I've been doing this for 6 years. Anna and Michelle can vouch for that. I went through all the training there is possible. Every time a new change comes along, I'm on it. They need to choose when that recording secretary does your documents. She lays out 3 or 4 different um price ranges. You can do for $50, you can do for $300. She sets up the LRPS, she sets up the LRO, she sends you all the mailings in envelopes, pre-signed address and everything. All you have to do is seal it and put a stamp on it. Everything else is taken care of for you. If that's what the people choose, they're paying for her services. If they don't choose that, that's not what they get charged. As for the people that are getting them for free, that is 100% correct. We had 3 ladies try to come in who spent, before they got to us, they had spent over $1,500 to get their documents recorded and the documents were nowhere near correct. We did their documents for free because there was no way Pennsylvania was going to charge someone who's just trying to save their butt money on top of their $1,500 they had already spent. If somebody is homeless, wants to come in, has the witnesses, has their birth certificate, doesn't have a job, we bring them in for free. The assembly eats that. And we're proud to do it because we're helping a brother or a sister. So before you go and start saying that we charge this or we charge that, please, Dwayne, you of all people, I've spoke to you many times. You of all people, please contact me and ask me what's going on. And with that, I yield.
All right. Thank you, Glenn. I appreciate it. You've answered all my questions. Thank you. I yield.
Yeah, all the assemblies should have a policy in place where if somebody is poor, elderly, you know, a limited income, they need help, you just help them. You know?
That's what's been done.
Because
That's what we do, Anna.
we need to look at this in terms of these are Americans just like everybody else, and we can't deny them their inheritance just for the sake of a few bucks or a little extra work. Okay, we're all good for it, right?
Awesome.
Thank you, Anna and Michelle. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thank you, Glenn.
thank you, Dwayne, and thank you, Glenn, because you know every assembly has their own processes, and I think that your explanation, Glenn, could help many states that are going through such challenges to see why there may be such a difference in the amount that gets charged. So they just need to ask those extra questions and get it clarified. Thank you.
May I, Michelle, real quick?
Go ahead, Lisa.
Ohio actually posts their fees right on their page.
But muted.
So there is.
Okay, you're good.
Ohio places their fees right on our website Join Us page. So anybody that inquires in our assembly sees exactly what is going to happen when they contact us. And that way we can cut down on some of the fraud that is out there that's charging people this $1,500, $2,000, 4 AFDs, whatever it is. It's just disgusting. And so we decided to put it on our website, and I encourage the other assemblies to do that too.
Right, and have a policy that if you're, you know, down and out and can't afford it, help.
Yep. Awesome. Thank you, Anna, and thank you, Lisa. Okay, we're going back to Gerda. Gerda, I'm rooting for you, man. I hope we've got some audio now.
Okay, this is a check.
Yes.
Hey,
Here you
thank
go.
you. Wonderful. Yes, my question is very brief. I'm just wanting to check whether Anna was able to receive the information for the Statute of Westminster. I sent it on, I think it was March the 28th by email. And this is just a follow-up to see whether that actually worked or if I need to do anything else.
I'll have to look it up, Gerda, because I've been obviously I've been traveling and I haven't been able to keep up with everything coming at me.
Yes.
So I'll look it up.
Okay, that's great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Gerda. Bye-bye. All right, last call. We've got Tom on Connecticut. Go ahead, Tom.
Hi, good evening. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Excellent. First of all, thank you very much, Anna. Really appreciate all your hard work. Best things upon you and your team. So my question is pretty simple, I hope. But I'm trying to understand in the prepaid credit system how the vendors who've been getting this wealth of Federal Reserve notes flowing toward them are going to survive without any income. Sure.
A little bit.
Volume up.
The microphone is so.
So weak. Let me try this. Hang on a sec. How's that? How's that? Is any better?
A little bit better.
Okay. Sorry about that. Anyway, so I don't know if my question made sense. I'll try and repeat it. So in the prepaid credit system, where we all have this credit that we're able to use up to pay for all our bills, our mortgages, our car payments, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. How are these various institutions that have been used to getting our money, how will they survive? Are they getting the money out of our trust? What's the incentive for them to join into the system? That's essentially what I'm asking. Thank you.
Well, they're getting their debt reduced. That's their biggest incentive. Their secondary incentive is that they are getting paid in positive monetary form, which actually gives them credit on their books.
Did you hear that, Tom?
Yeah, no, that sounds,
Okay.
that makes sense, yes.
So they're happy, we're happy. It's just a bookkeeping adjustment, really, where the burden of taxation and debt is being removed from the living people, and where the accounts are kept balanced and stable.
All right, Tom, I muted you so that we could hear Anna. So if you want to respond or chime in, just unmute.
Right, so as I'm understanding, and I'll yield shortly, what you're saying is it should be pretty clear to all these different vendors and utilities, et cetera, that there's a big benefit in this for them. And so there shouldn't be a lot of resistance on their part to jumping on the system. Is that correct? I yield.
Correct. Absolutely, it's a win-win.
Go ahead, Anna. You were saying it's a win-win.
Yeah, well, it just takes a little bit of time for people to wrap their head around it. But actually, if your debt is being reduced, you're gaining, right? And if you're getting credit on your books instead of debt, you're gaining.
Simple accounting.
Basically, it's accounting that was never done, but accounting that needs to be done.
Mm-hmm. All right,
Okay.
anything else there, Tom?
No, he gave the thumbs up. All right, Tabitha, we're going to take one more and then I'm quitting.
All right, one more, Tabitha. Go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much, Grana. So if I've been the Martial Arms for almost a year and a half now, since 9/20/24, and I was elected and vetted, do I have to go back through that process again?
No.
Through Pappas? Okay.
No. No, you're okay. Just be aware that the proper way of doing this is that the Federation positions are vetted by the Federation, but the Federation taught the states how to vet. Okay, so we're not going to recreate any wheels. The Continental Marshals will be training other countries and other people, and they'll be training on vetting procedures and the use of vetting and that sort of thing. So everybody at the end of the day will vet their own positions. The state will vet its positions, the federation will vet its positions. But because we're just starting out and a lot of people don't have the background to do background checks, we just are kind of using our own resources to bootstrap it and help everybody out.
Yes, ma'am. And can I ask one more question?
Yeah.
Very quickly? If we had, I kind of suspended 9 people. I don't have any problem taking the ban off these people, but because Ralph and Giles stepped down, another lady stepped up to the plate because if she hadn't, we would have lost Florida in the standing. So now that someone else has been vetted through Paul Pappas and them, Glenn, so she automatically just takes her position down because she went through, I think, the vetting thing, but it was a hurried situation, so we wouldn't lose the standing with Florida.
We're all trying to do the right thing, and for her, it would be to take the coordinator training and get vetted by Paul Pappas. Doesn't mean she has to stop working or that anything that she's done in and of itself is bad. It just means that we have to get it straight.
And is it okay for me to lift the ban with these 9 people?
Sure.
Okay.
Absolutely. I mean, they're trying to play fair. They're trying to do the right thing. So everybody just forgive each other and get on with it and deal with the real problems. Because I mean, there are actual factual things that we have to work at. But fighting with each other shouldn't be one of them.
Right.
Over it.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Love you.
Everybody just need to.
Thank you. And Lisa's hand shot up. So, Anna, is it okay if we have one more?
Of course. She's not there to ask any questions. She's there to answer questions.
Okay. Go ahead, Lisa.
Yeah, I just wanted to interject a little bit. Tabitha, I would highly encourage you and all the other martial at arms when Chief Pappas does put his training up, that you all attend it. Because what I find is, even though, I mean, I've done recording secretary training, I've done 3 years of constant training on our assembly and general topics. And many people say I have to listen 10, 12, 15 times. And every time I pick up a new piece of information that makes me better. And so, we are really here to try to keep learning, and that's part of our self-governance. And so I would really encourage, even though you've been martial at arms for a while, many of the other, even some of the original martial at arms, to go through the training, because I think a lot of the issues that you have on your assemblies, you're going to be able to assist in the correct ways. And you're going to be able to kind of intervene and bring peace to your assembly, which is your job as martial arms, right? To do it the right way and to bring peace. So, and that's, I guess, and I would like to see a show of hands of those people who attended the coordinator training. Because I think when you see how many people actually attended this training, and it was 7 weeks, and some of them were like, holy moly, you're hurting my head after 2 hours, so I think it's really worthwhile. And we've taken a little break so I can do recording secretary training with them all, so they know what recording secretaries are supposed to be doing and can be backup recording secretaries if they're needed on their state. So we took a few weeks, and we're going to do that. And then we'll probably be doing a tune-up about May 11th, and may start back up again with those that would like to take coordinator training. So, it's really, you're going to hear things that finally click and come forward. So, I just encourage you to get more training. It won't hurt. Okay.
It'll help.
Yes, exactly.
Thank you, Lisa.
Very, very good. Thank you so much, Lisa. And I know your training is so valuable. And thank you for the work that you did on California on Sunday at our procedures meeting. That was a great, I couldn't attend live, but it was wonderful to listen to and watch the playback. Thank you so much for the work that you've done for us twice. Well, no, 3 times, I think, altogether. You've come to a virtual meeting for California. So you guys, Lisa is an incredible resource and very willing to support. And so it doesn't take much to reach out and say, hey, Lisa, we could use your expertise. Sometimes assemblies need to hear it from a different voice, a different, teacher. And Lisa is more than willing to come and support. So please reach out and ask. We love you, Lisa. Thank you so much.
Yes, I got my troglodyte t-shirt in the mail.
It's awesome. So good. Even a caveman, so simple, even a caveman could do it.
I want one.
Yeah, I think it's appropriate for us. Keeps us humble, keeps us on track.
So good. Awesome. All right, okay. Anna. Well, anything else before we wrap it up? It's 7:41 California time. And
yeah, love and kisses, everybody. It's late. I'll be thinking of you all this week, and we'll have some good information coming out.
Bubble bath time, Anna.
What an idea! What an idea! I like it. Sounds good. Good night, everybody. Have a wonderful week.